the moment in time, you would think maybe unstoppable at this stage.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to have made...
It doesn't seem to be having cops like figured out who it could be or anything.
They've not got any leads. They're not doing anything, Well, all that was going to change. On May 9th, 1983, thanks to a familiar face. Do you remember Dr. John Pless, Alan?
Yes.
The forensic pathologist working at Bloomington Hospital. So obviously he had previously alerted the police of his suspicions that there may be a serial killer. And Dr. John Pless had just received the body of 21-year-old Daniel McNeve. Daniel was a street hustler from Indianapolis and had been stabbed 27 times. One of the abdominal gashes had left all his insides exposed, just like with one of the other ones as well. Dr. Pless, once again, saw the marks of a familiar hand at work, so he obviously realised, this is very similar to those other ones that we're looking at. And obviously disturbed by the findings, Dr. Pless once again reached out to the state police. With the number of bodies quickly building up, this time, Alan, the police had no choice but to listen. Good times. So they obviously reluctantly go, fuck, I guess we do have a fucking serial killer. Let me see if I can do something about this voice thing. Should have only took us half a second in the podcast universe to our listeners, but hopefully I've fixed my voice cutting off and on. We really need to get our technology sorted. So 6 days after Dr. Pless obviously told the police about the thing, and they started to take him seriously, members of several Indiana law enforcement agencies gathered together to discuss the highway murders. They met in Indianapolis, and they organised a task force, an entire task force dedicated to these murders. They were formally christened and given the name Central Indiana Multi-Agency Investigative Team. Bit of a tongue twister. I'm pretty sure they could have sort of shorten that down. What's the sort of the short?
What's the acronym?
Semite? Semite? No, that's not what it says. Okay. Lieutenant Jerry Campbell from the Indianapolis Police Department was assigned to lead the team, assisted by Sergeant Frank Love from the state police. And with the task force now fully assembled, it wouldn't be long before the team would have the first big break.
Ooh.
On June 6th, the police received a phone call naming 31-year-old Larry Eiler as the highway killer. The caller had no actual hard evidence of the murder, but alluded to an incident from August 1978, when this Larry Eiler guy had attacked a hitchhiker named Mark Henry. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Larry Eiler? E-Y-L-E-R. Eiler?
Eiler.
Let's go with Eiler, right? So according to this caller, Larry Eiler had apparently given Henry a ride on August 3rd, then drew a butcher knife when Henry rejected his sexual advances. Oh. Larry then swerved into a dark side street where he forced Henry into the bed of his pickup truck, so that's sort of the back thing. Henry was stripped and handcuffed, then bound by his ankles. Larry, and this is the really creepy bit, Larry then reportedly began stroking Henry's body with the knife, like sort of going down it. That's really ooky spooky, right?
Yeah.
That's another level I messed up.
Oh no, I don't like that.
That's just being a creep for the sake of being a creep.
Yeah.
So terrified, of course, as you would be in that situation, Henry actually managed to break free and hobbled from the truck. However, by this time, Larry had jumped out the vehicle and began chasing him. That would, I think my bowels would open and I would shit everywhere at the fear that would be going. Obviously, Henry was sort of incapacitated, sort of not being able to run as fast, so it didn't take long for Larry to catch up with Henry. And once he did, Larry swung his knife with so much force that it was actually enough to puncture one of Henry's lungs.
Oh my God.
Henry was a clever guy, though, in my personal opinion. He played dead, which is something which I always think, if you're... Yeah. It's a risky one, because if... I guess...
You've got the you got the chance that
they're just going to go ham.
yeah,
and
they're just going to go
killing.
carry on knifing them.
I guess if you're in that position though, where you know that if you run, you're not going to make it,
Yeah,
then maybe that's the best option. Maybe.
yeah.
Henry was playing dead, opening his eyes just enough to be able to see Larry speeding away from the scene. Alone and with a punctured lung, Henry staggered to a nearby trailer and banged on the door. The tenant was very kind and drove him to the hospital. Again, that could work out wrong, right? You could knock on the door of the wrong person. They could take advantage.
Yeah.
They could just rob your shit and kill you themselves.
Kind of like Eden Lake.
Oh, well, don't spoil that movie for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Oh, yeah. But it is kind of like that, though.
Okay. Just in case. We don't want to spoil any hot movies. That's quite an old movie, though, right?
It is really
it's
old.
Pretty old. But still, people may not have seen it. So with Henry in the hospital, safe, finally, strangely, Larry, for some random, bizarre reason, which is still unknown, had also stopped nearby. He also chose a house at random and then decided to confess his crime.
What?
Very peculiar behaviour, right? He also surrendered the handcuff key that he used on Henry. So that's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd have to wonder why.
I was going to say, I'm trying to piece it together in my head. I'm like, what do you think it could have been? Some sort of like weird fantasy that he has where it's like he wants to handcuff them, pretend to murder them, not actually go through with anything, but because he got away and ran away, he went a bit weird and stabbed them.
Maybe it was kind of that, yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Maybe in my head, maybe this was the first glimpse he had of himself and his potential to be a killer.
Okay.
Maybe. And maybe he was scared of what he saw in himself, maybe, and that's why he decided to confess. Maybe he was scared of himself at that point, right? Maybe.
More plausible.
Maybe not. But maybe. Again, that's pseudo-psychologist. So when the police arrived to where Larry was waiting in his pickup truck. Obviously, the police arrested him, and they confiscated a sword, 3 knives, a whip, a whip, and a canister of tear gas. I mean, I knew a guy with a sword once. He was just like a goth, though. He was like just a goth who liked to collect swords.
To be fair, I've had a sword myself as well. So.
Oh, you have had a sword?
Yeah, samurai sword.
Why don't we have it here?
There's nowhere to put it.
I would love a sword. I would keep that under the bed.
It's not sharp.
Yeah, but you know I would keep that under the bed. Because if someone comes into the house, busting the house, they see me with a fucking samurai sword,
well,
bitch.
we can easily get
my
another
psycho
one.
eyes.
You
Get
get
some
a proper
psycho
one.
eyes. Go on. I could sharpen it. No, I don't want to leave a weapon in the
it's
house.
legal to
But
sharpen
I could just have it there.
You're not meant to sharpen them.
No, well, as you said, we're not going to fucking sharpen the samurai sword. But I could have it there as a deterrent for potential home invaders.
But to be fair, though, just a quick caveat that the sword I had, the very tip of it was sharp. You could stab somebody with it.
I guess if you whack someone hard enough with something that's metal, it's still going to hurt.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You don't need to chop them or cut limbs off.
Like proper Kill Bill style.
Yeah, I mean, even if someone came in the house and was threatening, if I swung a samurai sword and dismembered them, I would be so scared. They'd be screaming. I would be screaming. I would be crying. There'd be a lot of things going on. I don't know.
I would probably just stay in a corner, shit, and cry.
And cry onto your poop.
Yeah.
That would be heavy times. The bond for Larry was initially set at $50,000, reduced to just $10,000 on August 4th by a sympathetic judge.
Really?
Don't know why you were sympathetic. Sounds like a bit of a bellend to me. Doesn't sound very. He doesn't seem very astute or attuned. His judge of character is bad, right?
Especially when you confess to something like that.
Yeah, bad judge of character. Bad judge. It's like a porno. On August 23rd, the whole thing was settled out of court. Larry's lawyer gave Henry a check of $2,500, which I did Google, and that is just under 10 grand in today's money.
Oh, okay.
And obviously Henry declined to press charges because of the money. He got paid, so he got paid off essentially. Which I don't think I would do. No. I would want justice to be served.
For the fact that he's out there and
he could come back and just fuck you up, and then what are you going to do with the 10 grand then?
Not true.
Fuck off, because you're going to be fucking dead, Johnny. You're going to be fucking dead. But that was his decision. Anyway, that was Henry's decision. Judge Harold, now this name I am going to fuck up, Harold Bitsegayo. Maybe I haven't fucked it up. Maybe I nailed it. Judge Harold Bitsegayo had dismissed the case on November 13th, 1978, after charging Larry just $43 in court costs. So the only thing Larry walked away with was $43 in court costs.
What? That's... No...
You might be surprised to hear, Alan.
Not like he go into like a register or anything like that.
No, I don't think so. I think charges would have had to be pressed, right? For him to go and put on a register. I think so.
True.
Yeah. What I was going to say, Alan, was you might be surprised to hear that this wasn't Larry's first contact with the police.
Oh, okay.
3 years after that particular incident in 1981, Larry was arrested for drugging a 14-year-old boy and dumping him unconscious in the woods near Greencastle in Indiana. The boy did survive, and
good.
Shockingly, Alan, can you guess what the shockingly part is?
I don't know.
Keep in mind, this Larry is a slippery dipper, and he has some of the best luck going.
I really don't know.
Well, strangely, the boy's parents dropped all charges when the boy left the hospital with no lasting damage.
Why?
I don't freaking know. I don't know. If there was...
What?
My only guess, and I don't know if this was the culture or the mindset of people at this particular time. I could imagine maybe this was the way people may have thought in like the 50s or something, maybe, in very small places. But, and this is really controversial, so this is me just freeballing from like little things I've seen on TV and shit. If your child has been subjected to some form of abuse from a homosexual guy, from a gay dude, maybe if you start to press charges, people in the neighborhood are going to know. Small towns, people talk. Maybe the families don't want their names associated. Maybe it's one of those, what?
No, I understand where you're coming from with that.
You could get some proper sort of stiff upper lip people who are like, what's done is done. We're going to move forward with it. Push it under the rug. We're going to forget all about it. What they don't know is obviously that child is going to be needing some hell of therapy. Right?
Traumatized for life.
No, that's not out of the realm of possibility, right?
With the mentality of people them days, I would say I would actually agree with you on that one.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is the 80s, so I don't know if that mentality was still lasting in the 80s. Maybe. There was probably a good handful of people who were still like that, right?
It was.
In 2018, there's still people with a freaking 1940s, 1950s mentality, even now. So yeah, we'll go with that. But again, that's just surmising that may be what happened. Maybe they had their other reasons. I don't know. So, Alan, do you want to know who Larry Eiler was?
No.
Well, I'm going to tell you anyway. Larry Eiler had led a pretty charmed life-ish. He was born at Crawfordsville, Indiana in December 1952. He saw his parents divorce when he was a toddler. Dropping out of high school in his senior year, Larry did later earn his GED and dabbled at college, attending sporadically from 1974 through to 1978, finally quitting without a degree. He usually wore military t-shirts and fatigues, but never actually served in the military.
Can I ask what a military t-shirt? It's just like camo.
Just like camo things with like army badges on, things like that. Just army style. Style things, yeah. As an adult, he lived in Terre Haute. Definitely pronounced that place wrong. I apologize. He lived there with a guy called Robert Little. Robert was a professor of library science at Indiana State University, and he also worked part-time at Greencastle Liquor Store. That is Larry, by the way, works the liquor store.
Right.
I know I phrased that a little weird.
Yeah.
Other workers at the store said that Larry was reported to have frequently drove to Chicago on quote-unquote unknown business.